Welcome to Upgrade. I'm your host, Frank the Tank, and today I'm going to be talking about not this item, but what you need to play with this item. So, if you purchase a high-end video graphics card and you have a outdated machine that you think your motherboard can handle it, please consult the side of the boxes before you purchase this stuff. But one thing that a lot of people tend to forget about these preferences and requirements that you need on these cards is that you also need a long power. So I have a machine that cannot run this video card. It shuts down, not enough power. Now it has 550 watts of it. It needs a little bit more. So the more items you have on your motherboard, your video card, your audio cards, your wireless card, it's just taking up all this power in there. Your CPU, your water cooling system, everything is a power hog. So when I purchased this item, I thought I was just gonna open the box, enjoy and play all day, but it kept shutting off on me, and it looked like I thought it was a heat sink issue where it was overheating, and it wasn't. I added extra bands in there. It wasn't. It turns out that it was the actual freaking power shutting down, and it was draining, and it's not enough power. I was enjoying the game. 5 minutes later, it was completely off. So I called the representatives on the radio, and I tried to say if it was a video card. Nope, they came back. I ran a couple log on this stuff. It was not the video card. It turns out it's a whole new power. So today I'm gonna be talking about what you really need to run those kind of powerful video cards. And this is a big power supply in here. It's around 850 watts. So any item I have in there, it shouldn't be a problem. So I just opened it up right now, took out the wrapper. That's pretty much what I did. This is the cheapest item I found so far. You can find them at Amazon, you can find them at Fry's, you can find them at certain stores, certain electronic stores. I tried to look for them at Best Buy. I didn't see any of these. They have higher end versions of it, but for this one, it was really neat. It was the cheapest one I could find. It's a 850. They pretty much go over 150 or $100 and higher. This one I found it for $75. And you could probably find it cheaper at Newegg and Amazon and other eBay. But try not to buy used stuff. Keep away from used stuff, especially when it comes to power. It's very fragile. I mean, some of the stuff in here, water spillage, moisture, it could damage this power, and it could also damage your computer. So when you're gonna buy something, make sure you buy quality. And this is not quality. This is not quality. This is just to get me by. So when I bought the video card, I bought it for VR system, and the VR, it needs that power. And the extra additional power that the video card requires, it's what was draining the whole power on the original power supply I had. Now this 800 should be more than enough. Now newer computers do come with 700 and higher, but 800 is something that it's just a little bit overkill for me, but I'd rather have this so I can make sure I can continue on adding new video cards, new fans, new water cooling system, new wireless devices, and continue with my gamer and projects and other stuff. So this is something that I bought, and I picked up this in store, and I say, hey, I gotta add an upgrade, a major upgrade to the desktop. So not just I'm gonna show you what's in the box, but we're gonna show you in part 2 how do you install this. So first of all, let's start. What do you get on the box? When you open the box, and I'll put a description on the item that I just purchased. It's a core. Of course, I'm gonna give you all the description, where you can find this stuff and where you can get it. And you don't have to go with this brand. You could go with any brand you want, but you want to make sure that your connections are valid with your motherboard and your CPU and your fans. Just make sure that a lot of these sockets have to fit your other hardware too. So you don't have to go with this cheap brand I did. You know, there's other cheaper brand and there's better brand. But power to me, it doesn't make a difference. You know, I pretty much purchase it, install them, and they run forever. I never have to even touch them again, you know, unless you don't clean them. They do collect a lot of dust. So my recommendation is once in a while, get an air can, go in there and spray it out, and you'll keep this power supply for a long time. Keep away from moisture, keep away from hot areas. A lot of people like to put their desktops against the wall too much, not enough space where the air's not flowing in the system. So not just your computer needs air, but the actual power supply needs air. So let's take a look at what I'm talking about. So you get a book here, of course. They always give you the manual and the power supply manual, and it's mandatory because a lot of different countries have different power surges, their power supplies, and it's not going to be available for every country. Now, this, consult with your manual if you are traveling and taking this abroad, because it might not work, or it might do something to your computer. So make sure you check the item, the hertz, the watts, and all that stuff, all the technical stuff. You have to. It's mandatory if you're going to take this somewhere else to another country. But in the United States, you're not going to have a problem. Now, when you get this item, they give you a bundle of cables. Now, these cables are nice and neat, you know. I've seen neater ones. I mean, if you want a high-end version of it, they're gonna come in with a different brand. You know, they nylon everything pretty much, and they make it thinner and streamer. So when I choose not to buy the high-end version of it, this is what you get: big, bulky plastic. And when you buy the high-end, you will get this material, which is pretty much only one cable right now that I actually got, because it's the main power supply that goes to the motherboard. But if you choose, like I said, a high-end version of this machine, you're just paying pretty much for the cables on the other part. So my recommendation is just go with the cheaper version. I mean, they do the same job. You know, they might advertise that it might be better and faster. It's not. It's impossible. It's just power. It's just the stream power to the right connections, the right hardware. So I'd rather have this bulky old thing and make it nice and neat in there. To save half of the price, just go with this. Now, when I open the power supply, of course, some of these things, make sure you don't have static on you because they're static sensitive. So touch some sort of object or metal before you deal with any kind of metallic charge station. And there is a unit in here that has copper, so be careful. And I advise that you get rid of all the static first before you start messing with these things, of course. Now, this one has a big fan. This is an awesome stuff. And of course, the fan sucking air, blowing out, and this is what gets dirty a lot of times. So when it's a customer that comes back and say, hey, I hear some noise or some sort of object is extracting, it's mostly a dust bunny in here, that's pretty much. So you could, this is from the outside. You could grab an air can, blow it in there, try not to blow it down within the system. So maybe you want to go inside and blow it out, because the more you blow it in, it's going to damage some of the circuits. You want to make sure you're away from the actual circuits in there. So try to blow out from the inside of the computer out, and it will last you forever. Now, every single power supply that I purchase has this little extra power switch. So sometimes when the computer doesn't shut off and you hold the power button, it doesn't want to do that, kill it. Simple, kill it. And same description you get in the manual, you'll get a similar here on the side of the panel here. So it's all metallic, you know, it's all aluminum, I would say. And now this is something that it changed a couple of years ago. They have their own slots for every single power supply, and they're pretty much like, if you ever play with Legos, if you're familiar with them, it's just a set and forget pretty much, and they all have the same end. So one end starts different, and they might look at the other end, from male to female might look totally different. So be aware that every single connection here looks similar. Now, there are 3 slots, there are 4 slots for the last ones. Now, those are the high-end ones, and they tell you exactly what should be plugged in here. It's that simple. VGA, that will be your video cards. VGA, that will be your video card. CPU, that's a mandatory connection to your motherboard. SATA, that's a freaking hard drive right there. This one has 1, 2, 3 hard drives, enough for 3 hard drives. Now this one's up here is for just extra objects like your fan system. So they have the cooling system too, also the 2 slots. So this one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 slots right now on this sucker. So that's pretty much what you're gonna need. Now, if you want to do high-end graphics on a high-end video computer that you need 2 video cards, this will work too, because there are 2 VGA connections in here. Now, a lot of BIM managers and 3D creators are working on 2 video cards. 2 of these suckers will require a power each. So this is pretty much is gonna handle what you want. And now, when I'm talking about when these go right behind a wall and your computer is right next to it, it doesn't suck enough air. So my suggestion is give it maybe 1.5 feet of space at least, so air could come in here and flow out through the whole system. And once in a while, check your fans. I mean, go in there, make sure that they're sucking air, they're blowing air up, and it's not dirty. Go in there and clean it up, because this is one important item that I would suggest you clean up at least once in a while. And if you do, it's like doing a car maintenance on a car. You do your oil change. You do all that stuff. You put gas. You change the tires. Same thing on a computer. You want it to last a long time? Just go in there, blow some air, and keep it nice and clean. I'm not asking you to do it every day, but at least once every 2 or 3 months, once a year, it will be fine too. Either way. But if your house is dusty, you want to go in there maybe once a week at least. But if you're okay and it's in a higher place, the computer, if it's in a lower place right by the floor, then I would suggest do it at least once a month. But if it's on a desk or somewhere higher and not enough dust, then you're okay, you know, at least once a year. But just make sure you have that extra space, because this is what sticks out of the computer, and this is where all the air comes in here. So great item, pretty heavy. It's like more than a pound, of course. And they do give you cable management, which is an awesome thing. So they give you a couple of cable management, the power itself, and I'm gonna show you the part where I'm talking about the extra power. So now, on top of that, these slots that I talked about, these are all spares, because this big old item, it's already ready to go. This is what goes in your motherboard, your VGA, and all the other stuff. So you have extra slots for extra items, of course. So if you like this item, I wouldn't spend too much money on power supply. It's one of those things that it won't do a difference on it. As long as it works fine and it works well. And the high-end versions are a little more quieter than the lower end. The cable management part are better quality. But you're just paying for a little bit more you're actually paying a lot more for the same thing that they could both do. I mean, half a price will get you something better in the long run. That if you're gonna spend money on creating a new desktop, spend the money maybe on the video card and other stuff. So my recommendation is just go ahead and buy the cheaper version. I mean, they do the same thing. You're watching Upgrade. I'm your host, Frank the Tank. If you like what you see, subscribe.